Hello and welcome to a very wet BT Murrayfield for the highlights from Tennent's Men's National 1 and the roundup of the action from Tennent's Men's National 2 and 3. We have got a huge game coming up as first took on second at Poynder Park. Kelso met Ayr with just 1 point separating the two going into the final weeks of the competition and the fight for that last Premiership spot. The hosts would be the one who would get the first try of the game. Murray Hastie's offload found Dwayne Patterson, who sent fellow centre Frankie Robson through. He managed to shrug off the last of the Ayr defence before going over the line. Ayr tried to push through the line, but Jamie Bova's missed penalty kick could not get them their first points of the game. Instead, Dwayne Patterson managed to make it back-to-back penalties to extend the hosts' lead. Ayr did not hold back, however, and they managed to get their first try of the game. The forwards managed to carry on a powerful move before Jamie Bova found the fullback Scott Watson, who went over for their first points. And moments before the first half ended, they managed to get their second try to narrow the gap even more. Jamie Bova once again the instigator as his cross kick found Zachary Howard in the far corner, who went over for their second try. But Dwayne Patterson managed to make a hat-trick from the boot. He got a penalty just before half-time to extend Kelso's lead. He started off the second half exactly the same, with more points from the boot. But despite the visitors' best efforts to keep Kelso out, they could not, and it was player coach Bruce McNeil that would pounce over the whitewash for Kelso's next try. A try well worthy for the Poynder Park fans who managed to get the game on today, even getting up at 7 AM to clear the pitch. And the Kelso players rewarded them by going 5 points clear at the top of Tennent's Men's National 1. Elsewhere in Tennent's Men's National 1, it was hard work for both teams up in Canal Park, but Highland walked away with a 34-22 win over Watsonians. GHK took one big step to survival with a 53-26 win over Dundee Rugby. Another team who took one more big step to survival was Stirling County, who came away with a 51-25 win over already relegated Stewart's Melville at Inverleith. Stewart's Melville are now still without a win since the opening weekend. And finally, Melrose's title chances took a huge hit at Netherdale in a Borders derby, and what a classic it was, as Gala came away with a 43-35 win over their rivals. And so, as we said, Kelso now go 5 points clear of Ayr at the top of the table, and they are now 11 points ahead of Melrose. At the bottom of the table as well, Stirling County are now level on points with Watsonians. Aberdeen Grammar are now 14 points behind, albeit that they did not play this weekend due to a postponement with their match against Biggar. We are now into rescheduled fixtures. In the first one on Friday night, Gala will take on Biggar at Netherdale. The following week, while the Scottish Cup will be taking place, Aberdeen Grammar will take on Highland in a North Derby, while Biggar will host Stewart's Melville. And we have 5 huge games on the 1st of April. Dundee Rugby will take on the Highland, while Gala host Ayr. Kelso will look to go one step closer to Premiership Rugby next season as they take on GHK. Stewart's Melville will host Melrose, and Watsonians face Stirling County in a huge clash at the bottom of the table. The fight for promotion and the fight against relegation is heating up. Falkirk managed to get a huge win over Cardiff Queen's Park. Glasgow Accies getting just a narrow victory over Dumfries Saints. Kirkcaldy go one step closer in the fight for survival. Boroughmuir are still hanging around there. Newton Stewart managed to get a big win over Hamilton Bulls to increase their lead at the top of the table. Peebles also just narrowly lost to Last Wade, while Preston Lodge versus Berwick was postponed. And so, as we said, Newton Stewart are leading the way at the top of the table, albeit they are only 2 points ahead of Falkirk and 5 ahead of Glasgow Accies. With 5 teams going down this year, it has never been closer. There are only just 7 points separating 5th and 9th. There are no fixtures this weekend due to Scotland's match versus Italy. However, we do have a full fixture list the following week. Berwick will take on Newton Stewart, while Dumfries Saints will travel to Boroughmuir. Falkirk take on Kirkcaldy as they look to close the gap between themselves and Newton Stewart. Glasgow Accies will host Preston Lodge, Hamilton Bulls will host Peebles, and Cardiff Queen's Park visit Last Wade. Another postponed fixture for Gordonians meant it was a time for Hillhead Jordan Hill to close the gap, and they did with a 53-13 win over Royal High. Strathmore also got a convincing win over struggling Greenock Wanderers. However, Fife managed to get a 36-23 win over Allen Glens, while Murrayfield Wanderers did manage to put 38 points past Perthshire, but that was nothing compared to their 69. West of Scotland also managed to get a convincing win over White Craigs. It's all on Gordonians now, however, the gap is now shrunk to just 6 points. Much like National 2, the fight against relegation is heating up. Strathmore are now only just 5 points behind Orkney and 7 behind Allen Glens. On the 25th of March, another full fixture list. Allen Glens will host Greenock Wanderers, while Gordonians will meet West of Scotland in a battle of first versus third. Greenock Wanderers will host Orkney, Murrayfield Wanderers travel to Perthshire, Royal High take on second place Hillhead Jordan Hill, and White Craigs host Howard Fife. And so that is it for another weekend of Tennent's Men's National League action. Don't forget that if you want to watch the highlights from an exciting encounter between Hawick and Curry Chieftains at Mansfield Park for the Tennent's Men's Premiership, they are now available to watch as well. We will be taking a short break while our men finish off their Six Nations campaign here against Italy on Saturday, and our women start their TikTok Six Nations campaign against England the following week. We'll be back in April. We'll be rounding up all the action as Tennent's Men's National 1, 2 and 3 come to a close. We'll see you there.